Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here on a hot take about what else? The election. The election has consumed all. There is nothing but the election. Right, Little Joan? Here's your treat. I got little treats ready, so perhaps you'll be good. Die in a fire. Twitter employees reveal deep hatred for Trump. Here it is. Here's the proof. I had to go to the archive today on this because, man, New York Post, you're knocking it out of the park, but your ads, your pop-up ads, whoo. Um, if you're not reading the New York Post right now, you're missing out. It's like a breath of fresh air. It's like reading a newspaper from 20, 30 years ago. It's actual news. And I don't say that because they seem to be agreeing with me on my version of reality or something, although they are. There's only one version of reality, and these guys are on it, as opposed to everybody else who's just flacking for the Democrats. But here's the article by John Levine. The tweets are running the asylum. Twitter's senior executives have a long history of anti-Trump hatred, a post-review of dozens of accounts of top employees found. The venom, vitriol, and in some cases vowed to help Joe Biden across the finish line in next month's presidential election continue to live online as the company earlier this week decided to censor the New York Post revelations about Hunter Biden's emails to a consultant for the Ukrainian energy company Burisma. So this may be a little bit of payback from the New York Post, but good for you, New York Post. I mean, who the F is Twitter? No, nothing. 2% of the country uses Twitter. The Get 'em out, in caps, posted by a senior site reliability engineer on August 18th. What an effing baboon. See, I don't have a problem with any of that, Twitter people. I don't have a problem with that at all. The problem I have is you censor other people with different opinions. That's the problem I have. Continuing, one manager with almost 9 years on the job said he was quite keen to watch Biden, quote, crush Trump in the election, and that he hoped the president would be, quote, utterly humiliated while also suffering greatly from COVID-19. And in another post, he fantasized about the president being put on a ventilator. First off, why do Twitter employees dump their purse out on Twitter? You know, again, I mean, I understand it when some teenager starts spouting off stuff on Twitter. They're young and they're stupid. Even college kids, they're young and they're stupid, and they're spilling their guts on a public forum, and then if it goes viral, if someone like makes fun of them, they're like, "Ooh, why are you making fun of me?" You shouldn't put your private thoughts on Twitter unless you want those private thoughts out there. You know, those of us who write jokes or write books or whatever, we do that in order to generate interest in us and in our products. So, I mean, I swear to Christ, I would delete Twitter in a heartbeat if I had the money. If I get rich enough, yeah, it's gone. It is gone. Because I'll have one of my fans run it, or I just won't have a Twitter account at all. Who needs it? Who needs the headache? I'm there fighting for attention. But if you're just a normal person and you're spilling your guts on Twitter, it's a bad place. It's a bad place to put your private thoughts anywhere on the internet. Just so you know. But for Twitter execs to do it, I mean, that's doubly, triply bad. This seems to be working. Joan at least is mostly calm. And they should know better. At the same time, the employee has been he calls Trump an effing idiot and the voters who elected him hysterically effing stupid people. At the same time, the employee has been a consistent cheerleader of his company's efforts to rein in the president on the platform and curb the spread of misinformation. Quote, I'm really proud of how quickly we worked to make this possible for U.S. elections, he wrote. Others publicly wish the president harm. Now, this gets into a gray area. One Twitter engineering manager said Trump should, quote, die in a fire in a January 2017 tweet. A year later, he rang in the new year by saying, Happy 2018, Donald Trump is dead. Here, take it. None of these comments have ever been flagged by Twitter or been the subject to any other form of official sanction, even as the social media giant dishes out discipline to others for sharing legitimate news stories that might hurt Biden. The company finally ordered the vicious tweet to be deleted on May 29th, years after being posted. Running out of treats here. Here, take it. What, I got to put it in your mouth and chew it for you? So yeah, I mean, it's obvious their bias. The company's global creative partnership head called Trump swine. Well, that's more fancy. An associate brand strategist labeled the president, quote, an egomaniacal blowhard. I don't think that's a word. Egomaniacal? Blowhard. A sales manager in New York called Trump the Enron of presidents. Ha! Look at this. Look at it's right on the cover of the New York Post. Good for you, New York Post. Here, eat. I'm not paying attention. That's why I'm holding it. You think she'd move her head. That's how lazy my dog is. She won't even move her head. She's a diva. Our employees are professionals, and we require them to bring objectivity to their work, regardless of their personal views. We will not be dissuaded from continuing to work fairly and impartially to enforce our rules. Yeah, right. Ha, 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 Twitter. So, you can see what you're up against on Twitter. And even so, despite all that, there are Trump fans on Twitter trying to push forth the president's stuff, and Trump's there too. I think without Trump, Twitter would be in big trouble. I mean, the man has 80 million followers, and it's the only thing on, I mean, everything Trump and Trump related makes Twitter interesting. This whole thing makes Twitter interesting. I'm on it every day now, but before I was like struggling to stay on Twitter because I was so bored with it. I almost never tweeted. But the elections made everything interesting. And pretty much everything else has been destroyed in an attempt to, I don't know what. I don't know what the Democrats expected. You know, between destroying the movie industry, I bet the only thing left is the TV industry, and that was terrible. I mean, it's marginally better on like Netflix and whatnot. Comics are dead. Video games are dead. It's the internet and maybe television, and that's it. So, you know, in New Jersey, the bars are only kind of open. And that took forever. And now the weather's getting cold. See, here in New Jersey, I think we're still at 25% capacity on restaurants and bars inside. Joan, I gave you all the treats. You ate them too fast. So, we still have to sit outside. And that's the only way the places were sort of making their money. They were sort of almost at capacity. 25% inside the building and the rest outside in the parking lot for those who had adapted to that. But now the weather's getting colder and miserable. It's been raining. Can't make any money. Who the hell wants to sit outside in the rain? Now they have tents, but still, you know how that goes. It gets windy, it blows in. So, there's nothing else to do but be on Twitter and talk about the election. So, here, come over here. Jesus. Well, that experiment didn't work at all. Second I run out of treats. Yeah. So, guess you're just going to have to sit here, Joan, for the next one. All right? But anyhow, I hope Twitter dies. I hope the whole company just goes under and gets replaced by Parler, or Gab has one. What the heck's a Gab one? I think it's just called Gab. Yeah. Yeah, here's the Gab one. It's all the right wingers are on here, and this is Parler. And here I am. See, this is me. Yeah, yeah. Go to my profile. This is me. So if you want to follow me on Gab or Parler, you know, I think you'll find the platforms a lot more accepting of views, as opposed to Twitter, where everybody just seems to hate everybody. Here's James Woods on Twitter. He's still, you know, a voice of the opposition. They did kick him off, and he's talking about the Democratic operative in the red dress will be the debate moderator for next week. This was Christine Welker, who I talked about, and yeah, here she is celebrating Christmas with the Obamas. Real impartial.